When I hear people rave about clean pre-workouts, I ask myself whether the natural ingredients they tout actually make a difference in the gym. Today we're going to explore the question, does choosing natural flavors and sweeteners over artificial ones improve performance? I'll break down what natural and artificial really mean in the context of supplements, highlight the ingredients that actually drive results, and separate science from marketing. Whether you're drawn to organic labels or bright colors, the most important factor is what's inside the scoop. By the end of this talk, you'll know how to evaluate formulas based on evidence, not aesthetics. Let's begin by looking at why clean label products have become so popular. In recent years, there has been an explosion of clean label supplements on store shelves. More consumers want products with fewer additives, non-GMO ingredients, and organic certifications, and pre-workouts are no exception. The definition of clean has shifted beyond simply avoiding synthetics. It now implies shorter ingredient lists and naturally derived sources. This trend isn't limited to hardcore gym goers. Parents, older adults, and general wellness enthusiasts are looking for clean energy as well. Manufacturers have responded by launching powders marketed as natural or artificial free. But before we assume these versions offer a performance advantage, we need to unpack what natural actually entails. That's what we'll do on the next slide. Many of us gravitate toward the word natural, but it's important to understand its limitations. In the United States, there is no formal FDA definition of natural for supplements. When a product uses the term, it typically means that nothing artificial or synthetic has been added to flavor or color. However, natural does not address how the ingredients were produced. Pesticide use, farming practices, and nutritional value aren't covered. Natural flavors are derived from plant or animal sources such as essential oils and extracts, but they may still undergo processing. Recognizing that natural doesn't automatically equal healthier or more effective sets the stage for an objective comparison with artificial counterparts. Now let's define what artificial means in this context. On the flip side, artificial ingredients are created synthetically rather than extracted from plants or animals. Artificial flavors are designed to mimic natural tastes using compounds assembled in a lab. Many pre-workouts also include high-intensity sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, or acesulfame potassium, which provides sweetness at very low doses. Brightly colored powders get their hues from artificial dyes that have been extensively tested for safety and approved by regulatory bodies. The key takeaway is that artificial ingredients are not necessarily harmful. They're simply synthesized rather than farmed. What matters from a performance standpoint is the active compounds and their doses. Next, we'll discuss what actually drives performance in a pre-workout formula. Whether a pre-workout tastes like candy or leaves a hint of stevia aftertaste, your muscles respond to the active compounds. The ingredients that truly drive performance are nitric oxide boosters, energy substrates, and stimulants delivered at research-backed doses. Flavors and sweeteners may make the experience more enjoyable, but have little to do with blood flow, ATP regeneration, or focus. To see results, you need enough citrulline to elevate nitric oxide, enough beta-alanine to boost carnosine, and sufficient caffeine to sharpen alertness. Natural and artificial sweeteners both sweeten without adding usable fuel. Keeping this distinction in mind helps us focus on the metrics that matter. Let's lay out the key ingredients that should be present in any effective pre-workout. Research has consistently identified a handful of ingredients that support exercise performance. L-citrulline raises blood arginine levels, leading to increased nitric oxide and better circulation to working muscles. Creatine supports rapid ATP regeneration by increasing phosphocreatine stores, enabling more forceful contractions. Beta-alanine combines with histidine to form carnosine, which buffers the acids that accumulate during intense training and delay fatigue. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors in the brain, reducing drowsiness and improving focus and perceived exertion. When these ingredients are present at effective doses, they work together to enhance strength, endurance, and mental drive, no matter how the powder is flavored. But ingredients alone aren't enough. They must be present at the right amounts, which we'll address next. The difference between an effective pre-workout and a glorified flavored drink often comes down to dosage. Studies use 6 to 10 grams of L-citrulline, 3 to 5 grams of creatine, 3.2 to 6.4 grams of beta-alanine, and 3 to 6 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of body weight. If a product meets these ranges, it will likely enhance performance regardless of whether it's labeled natural or artificial. Unfortunately, many clean label powders boast minimal ingredient lists, but underdose the active compounds, while some artificially flavored options hit the mark. As consumers, we need to read labels with a critical eye rather than assume the aesthetics reflect efficacy. To make this concrete, let's compare two sample formulas. Imagine two tubs of pre-workout. One is marketed as clean, featuring natural flavors, monk fruit sweetener, and a short list of additives. The other uses artificial sweeteners and food dyes, but lists the same amounts of citrulline, creatine, and beta-alanine. From a physiological perspective, both formulas should produce similar effects if the active ingredients are dosed identically. The choice then becomes a matter of personal preference. Do you prioritize natural flavors and minimal additives, or are you comfortable with artificial sweeteners if it means a stronger taste? It's important to look beyond the front label and compare the supplement facts panels. In the following slides, we'll break down the individual performance categories to see how each component contributes. When you scrutinize the ingredient profiles of a clean label pre-workout and a conventional one, you'll likely find that the differences are cosmetic. Both formulas typically contain the same core performance agents: citrulline, creatine, beta-alanine, and caffeine. The clean product may highlight organic sources and drop the artificial colors, while the standard product might include sucralose and FD&C dyes. What counts is whether the active components reach the established clinical thresholds. Before getting swayed by packaging, make sure to verify those numbers. With that context, let's delve into specific performance outcomes, starting with energy and stimulation. When people talk about feeling energized by a pre-workout, they're usually referring to the caffeine. Whether a product uses caffeine derived from tea, coffee, or guarana, or synthetic caffeine anhydrous, it's the same molecule acting on the same receptors in your brain. Natural formulas often promote tea or coffee extracts to imply a gentler effect, while standard formulas list caffeine anhydrous. In practice, your body doesn't distinguish between sources. The magnitude and duration of stimulation depend on how much caffeine you ingest relative to your body weight. A lower dose may provide focus without jitters, while a higher dose may elevate heart rate and potentially disrupt sleep. With energy covered, let's move on to the pump and blood flow category. If you enjoy the feeling of your muscles swelling during a workout, you're chasing what's commonly called the pump. This effect comes from increased nitric oxide, which causes blood vessels to dilate. Standard pre-workouts often supply L-citrulline, or nitrates derived from beetroot extract, while clean label products may emphasize fermented beet powders. Both deliver the same end product, nitric oxide, provided the doses are comparable. It's the 6 to 10 grams of citrulline or equivalent nitrate content that matters, not whether the powder is flavored with berries or cherries. Without sufficient amounts, a natural label won't enhance your pump. Next, we'll discuss the ingredients that support endurance and fatigue resistance. Two of the best studied compounds for endurance are beta-alanine and creatine. Beta-alanine helps you push through more reps by increasing carnosine in your muscles, which buffers the acid that builds up during high-intensity exercise. To see benefits, you need to consume around 3 to 6 grams per day consistently, regardless of whether the powder is sweetened with stevia or sucralose. Creatine, typically taken at 3 to 5 grams daily after an initial loading phase, saturates your muscles with phosphocreatine so you can regenerate ATP rapidly. Again, its effectiveness doesn't depend on the flavor system. When evaluating a formula's endurance potential, look at those numbers. The next slide covers the role of focus and nootropic ingredients. In recent years, many pre-workouts have added nootropic ingredients to support mental clarity. Natural-leaning formulas might include L-tyrosine, an amino acid that helps maintain dopamine levels under stress, or L-theanine, which can promote a calm focus when paired with caffeine. Conventional products often use alpha-GPC or huperzine A to support acetylcholine pathways. While these ingredients sound impressive, the body of research linking them to improved exercise performance is still emerging, and results seem to hinge on adequate dosing. If a supplement contains less than the amounts used in studies, often several hundred milligrams, you may not notice an effect. As we shift from cognitive factors, our next topic deals with sweeteners and flavor systems themselves. To make powdered supplements palatable, manufacturers rely on sweeteners and flavor systems. Artificial options like sucralose and asulfame potassium are extremely potent, providing intense sweetness with almost no calories, which is why they're popular in mainstream formulas. Natural sweeteners such as stevia and monk fruit extract also deliver sweetness, but often leave an herbal or bitter aftertaste. Polyols like xylitol and sorbitol are technically natural and can improve texture, but consuming them in large amounts may lead to gas or diarrhea because they aren't fully absorbed in the gut. Understanding these differences helps you choose a product that sits well with your digestive system. Taste isn't purely about sweetness though. Next, we'll talk about flavor profiles and satisfaction. One reason people gravitate to certain pre-workouts is their taste. Artificial flavors allow formulators to create bold, predictable profiles like fruit punch or blue raspberry, and they pair well with high-intensity sweeteners. Natural flavors derived from fruit extracts or spices tend to be more delicate and may need blending to mask the bitterness of certain amino acids. As a result, clean label products sometimes sacrifice sweetness or overall flavor intensity to avoid synthetic additives. Your personal preference for taste may guide your choice, but remember that flavor has no bearing on how effectively the product delivers nitric oxide, creatine, or caffeine. With taste addressed, let's consider how these ingredients affect your digestive comfort. Digestive comfort can be a deciding factor when choosing a pre-workout. Artificial sweeteners like sucralose are widely consumed and generally well tolerated in the small amounts used in supplements. Natural sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit are also considered safe, but some people find their aftertaste off-putting, which may limit intake. Sugar alcohols, polyols such as sorbitol, maltitol, and xylitol are less caloric but can pull water into the intestines, causing bloating, gas, or diarrhea if consumed in high quantities. Most pre-workouts use these ingredients sparingly, but if you have a sensitive stomach, reading the label for sugar alcohol content is a good idea. Beyond digestion, there's a psychological component to clean labels that we need to address. Marketing terms like natural, organic, and clean carry powerful psychological weight. They evoke images of purity, health, and sustainability, making consumers feel safer and more virtuous about their purchases. Because of this halo effect, many people are willing to pay more for products that align with their values, even when those products are nutritionally or functionally equivalent to less expensive alternatives. The appeal isn't just rational, it's emotional. Recognizing this psychology helps you understand why some pre-workouts command a premium price and why you might instinctively reach for a green labeled tub. But marketing isn't the same as performance, which is why we need to separate branding from efficacy in our next discussion. Brands love to highlight their use of natural sweeteners and flavors because it taps into our desire for wholesome products. However, when it comes to actual performance, your body responds to the active compounds and their doses, not to whether the drink is sweetened with sugar, stevia, or sucralose. Studies on carbohydrate mouth rinses show that just rinsing with a sugary solution can sometimes improve time trial performance by activating reward centers in the brain, but swapping sugar for sucralose doesn't make a measurable difference. This illustrates that taste alone isn't an ergogenic aid. A clean label might make you feel better about your choice, but it won't confer extra power or endurance. So when does a clean label matter? Let's explore that next. There are valid reasons to reach for a clean label pre-workout. Some people are sensitive to artificial sweeteners or colorings and may experience headaches, hives, or nausea after consuming them. Others prefer natural products for ethical reasons such as supporting organic farming practices or avoiding genetically modified organisms. If you adhere to a vegan or plant-based lifestyle, you might also want to ensure that ingredients are sourced accordingly. Finally, if you've had gastrointestinal issues with polyols or certain dyes, choosing a formula that uses stevia or monk fruit and minimal additives could help you feel more comfortable during your workout. These considerations reflect personal preference rather than performance, which brings us to when natural versus artificial really doesn't matter. From a purely performance standpoint, what matters is whether a pre-workout delivers the right ingredients at the right levels. If both a clean label product and a standard one contain 6 grams of citrulline, 5 grams of creatine, 3 grams of beta-alanine, and an appropriate amount of caffeine for your body weight, you should expect the same improvement in blood flow, power output, and focus. Your muscles and nervous system cannot distinguish between an extract from beetroot and a lab-produced nitrate once they're broken down in the body. The same goes for caffeine derived from coffee versus synthetic sources. So if your only goal is to lift more, run faster, or train longer, ingredient quality and dosing trump label aesthetics. Let's summarize the key lessons from this discussion. Here's what we've learned. Performance hinges on the presence of proven ingredients like citrulline, creatine, beta-alanine, and caffeine delivered at clinical doses. Whether those ingredients are suspended in a naturally sweetened powder or an artificially colored drink has little impact on your muscles. Natural has no regulatory meaning beyond excluding synthetic flavors. Artificial ingredients are tested and safe. Clean labels can be appealing for ethical, dietary, or sensory reasons, but they don't inherently boost your pump or endurance. To get the most out of a pre-workout, read the supplement facts, confirm the doses, and select a product that aligns with your values and digestive comfort. Now let's wrap up with a final thought on balancing science and personal preference. At the end of the day, the debate between natural and artificial pre-workouts comes down to what you value. The research tells us that the formula, the actual ingredients and their amounts, drives the results, not the flavor system. If you enjoy a clean label because it aligns with your lifestyle or makes you feel better about what you're consuming, by all means choose it. But do so with your eyes open to the fact that natural sweeteners won't magically increase your squat. Conversely, don't dismiss a well-dosed product just because it uses sucralose. Pick the option that meets your clinical needs and tastes good to you. I'd love to hear which you prefer and why. Thanks for joining me, and stay tuned for more science-driven supplement analysis.